Breakups are often the symptom of problems in a relationship. My workbook series, The Knowledge, is focused on helping you change your life in 4 key areas: retaining the information that I teach, personal growth, improving your relationships, and of course, re-attracting your ex. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And today we're going to be talking about, are they trying to warn you? Now, this is a topic that Margaret has been thinking about for some time, and we've discussed it here and there over the past few months, so we thought we'd talk about it a little bit today. A lot of times when you're going through a breakup, your ex will tell you something where it feels like a warning. They may try and say something to you like the effect of, I'm not a good person, I'm not a good partner, there are things you don't know about me. And at the time, we're not sure if it's an excuse or if it's something legitimate. Because truthfully, sometimes it can be just an excuse.
It can be.
But you have to look a little bit further at that person and their life if you're trying to figure out the differences there, right?
Right.
Because you can start to spot those things. And we're going to do an email today that you're going to see some of these warning signs that we're talking about. But Margaret, what are your thoughts on people that when they break up with you, they give you a reason like, you don't know what I am capable of? Let's just say...
Exactly. And one of the reasons I've been thinking about it is because I've come across it in 3 cases relatively recently. Mm-hmm. And it's been exclusively men wanting to warn women. And, you know, the women afterwards are saying, I'm so sad that he broke up with me because he's avoidant and she's anxious. And I have found myself saying a couple of times, he tried to tell you that he was not a good partner, that he would not be a good father, that he can get really angry, that, you know, several women have broken up with him. He's trying to warn you, and to his credit. And I've seen a couple of cases where, as Craig says, you know, your first thought is this just an excuse to get out of this relationship.
Yeah.
But no, it seemed to me to be very genuine that this guy was trying to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and that's pretty direct. If I say to you, you don't want to be with me because you don't know what I can do with the carving knife, mm-hmm. You're going to listen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so I think people should be taken seriously. And sometimes warnings can come right out of their unconscious, that they're not even aware of acknowledging some of the things they acknowledge. But their intention is to warn, and we need to listen.
Yeah, you do. Because if somebody's trying to tell you something, you don't want to sweep it under the rug. You have to listen to what people are telling you. And that's the thing that's a real struggle in relationships, yes. Is that when somebody's trying to communicate with you, they're not going to walk up and say, you know, with a bullhorn and say, okay, this is important, listen now. It's the little cues that you constantly have to pick up on. And truthfully, a lot of times we're just thinking about where we're at and what's going on our mind, yeah. That we don't really hear what's going on in our partner.
And the euphoria of the relationship in the beginning. And isn't this wonderful? And look at what we have in common and so forth and so on. And we might not be listening to warnings that our partner might honestly give us for our safety.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to. Because if you don't, you're going to wind up with a broken heart. And you're going to wind up sitting there thinking, you know, they did tell me that.
He did try to warn me, yes.
They did tell me they're not good in relationships, but I felt so good with them that I didn't think they meant it.
Didn't listen.
Yeah. Okay. So we got a good email today that I think will help you see some of the subtleties that we're talking about. Right. This is from a couple in their 40s that dated for about a year. Now, they met through Facebook about a year ago. But they have a history together. Like 20 years ago, they hung out and had a huge crush on each other. For whatever reason, it didn't materialize, and they didn't see each other until Facebook about a year ago. They both do have kids from previous marriages. And when she was telling me about his history, she said he has not been living with his parents since he was 10 years old.
Wow.
So what happened?
That's young.
It's a good question. What happened, right?
What happened, yeah.
The parents seemed to be happy together, but he didn't tell a lot about his childhood.
Oh, that worries me.
And he had 5 siblings.
He had 5 siblings?
Yes.
So whatever happened, it happened to all 6 of them, one would think.
So that's interesting, and that's one of the things we're talking about. He didn't talk about his childhood. That's a red flag for us.
Yeah, you don't forget if you don't remember your childhood, or if it's too difficult for you to talk about it, then it was awful. There's no good reason why you don't remember or why you can't talk about it. And I mean, if you're very interested in somebody and willing to be there for them, of course you'll hear their story, even if it's hard to hear. But their being unable to tell it worries me a little bit.
Yeah. When he was little, the mom used to be away for long periods of time, as she was often away at business. I don't know what happened.
I hope it was a good, lucrative business after all this sacrifice.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like it, does it? Okay. So what she says, he didn't break up with me, but wanted to carry on the long-distance relationship without any plan for the future, even though a couple of months ago, all he wanted was me to move to his city and live with him.
Gee, you don't think he's met someone else, do you?
Well, that's one of the things that comes to my mind, or for whatever reason his interest level dropped.
Right.
Okay?
So you note that his interest level has dropped, but
yes.
we don't know why.
But let's keep going.
Okay.
The first couple of months, all he talked about were his plans for our life together. Then 5 months into the relationship, he started to pull away. Very distant, hot and cold, until I insisted I know the reason. He says that we have challenges that we can't overcome.
Is that the royal we human beings? We people from, I don't know, Milwaukee? Or?
I don't know what these challenges could be. And he says he is very controlling and a dominant type. That he is not empathetic and yells at his kids a lot.
Oh my.
Sounds bipolar, doesn't it?
Could be.
It certainly doesn't sound like someone you want to live with.
No, it certainly doesn't.
Very controlling, dominant, not empathetic, and yells at his own kids. This sounds like a warning.
I'm sure that he has been told this stuff by former partners. I don't think he's likely to have figured it out quite himself.
No.
But good for him for telling her.
Yes.
Good for him.
He says that he can see I have a much more gentle way of raising my kids, which means they will probably not be able to handle his way of treating kids if they live together.
Nor should they have to.
Good for him for saying,
Absolutely.
I am not going to be good for your children.
No.
Okay? So you can't ignore this. He's trying to warn you. He's trying to help you understand him. At first, he probably was ignoring it himself, but then when the reality set in, he probably thought, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to wind up being this way again.
It does sound like that. It sounds like he has despaired of changing it, which is too bad, but the next best thing is to warn her. Good for him.
He is also afraid that his controlling behavior will not suit me. Another reason is that his company might send him out of the country for a couple of years, and he's not sure when. So that could be a legitimate reason.
Well, I got news for him. Nobody is going to put up with his behavior.
Doesn't
He's
sound
saying
like
it might not be good for her. It's not going to be good for anybody, and I'm sure it hasn't been in the past.
Yeah. She said I was shocked and sad when he told me that we had to have a break. I cried and said that I knew this day was coming, as he had been very distant in weeks. I said, for me, a break is equal to a breakup.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't speak for 2 days after that. Then he reached out and asked if he might come spend some time with me the upcoming weekend. I told him we should stick to the break, and that means we shouldn't see each other. He didn't answer. I don't think he liked that. The next day he continued to text me and call me. When I asked what he wanted, he said, only a long-distance relationship. He said, we can continue as a couple and see each other when we can, but with no plans of a future. So all of a sudden, this guy who's promising her the world and come live with me and come be here is saying, I don't want a future. I don't want to plan for a future. You don't want to live with me. I've got a temper. I'm controlling.
You don't want to do this.
These are warnings. I said, I only wanted a committed relationship and can't settle for a casual one. If we cannot see a future together, and he may go abroad for work for a few years, then I'm not a priority, and she doesn't see a reason to continue. And I agree with her.
Good for her.
I asked him to think about it and call me if he wants the same. Beautiful.
Yeah, well done.
I said I wanted all or nothing. It may sound like an ultimatum, and I'm really regretting that I said that.
Hey.
Don't be.
Don't be, no.
That's what you wanted. And it wasn't an ultimatum, I don't think.
No, it wasn't.
Because he was the one that ended it, and she's saying, I don't want these new terms. The terms that we agreed upon, yes, that's what I wanted. You're changing the terms, and no, I'm not comfortable with these new terms. Right? She said the two biggest problems were that he has a different temper and way of thinking, and they raise their kids different, and that she's the type of person that's quick to jumping in decisions. So maybe she's anxious and...
Jumping in decisions?
Yep, that's what she says.
That she makes decisions quickly?
It sounds like it, but that she didn't elaborate. So she wants to know, should I let go and move on, or should I fight for our relationship? Did I do the by going no contact, or should I have agreed with him and continuing to do long distance like that? I love him and have been an emotional mess for weeks. She's talking about tons of symptoms and that it's eating her alive.
How long have they been together?
Been together for about a year, so it wasn't super long. What's eating her alive is that how he suddenly changed. When we first got together, she was going through her divorce. He was enthusiastic and eager, expressed his love, constantly asking her to move, planning a future, building a house. So he painted the dream for her. That's what she says. I lived in a dream. As he came back after so many years, and that we still had the strong feelings of for each other, the lust.
Yeah, I had forgotten that part. Yeah. They hadn't seen each other for 20 years.
That's right. But things went too fast, and I was the one who wanted to slow down. But I constantly worried that he would wake up from his dream and not love me anymore.
Oh my, why would she think that?
Something in her gut told her it wasn't right, that she knew,
Didn't feel right, yeah.
When he started to be distant, I was the one being anxious and afraid of it falling apart, and I chased him. He never wanted to tell me about the reason for his divorce and why his wife left him and moved to another city for a few years.
I think it's what he just told her. He didn't say, this is what my wife said, but I think that's what his wife said.
And that's what I was trying to warn everybody about at the onset of the video, is if you look at the details and you see red flags like, I don't want to tell you why my wife left me and disappeared for several years, and he doesn't want to talk about that, he's not being transparent, that's a red flag that he really means that he is warning you.
Yes, he is warning.
It doesn't sound like an excuse to me. It sounds very real.
Me either. I think he's warning her. And I think he cared enough about her to do that. It sounds to me like he got violent. I mean, I can't conclude that absolutely, but why would she move to another city?
That's what I was afraid of too.
He has kids he probably wants to see, and may have been shocked to find out how terribly he had alienated everyone.
Absolutely, I agree.
But I have to give him credit for doing the right thing here.
Yes. Now, it sounds like up front he let his emotions get the best of him, got overexcited, he rushed things, but then as it started to become more realistic for him, he realized this isn't good I'm going to wind up hurting her.
Yeah.
I'm going to wind up
Yeah.
mistreating these kids again, and I don't want to do this
And
again.
I don't want to do this again.
So it feels like a real warning.
But doesn't sound to me, what bothers me, makes me sad, is that it doesn't seem to have occurred to him that he could change. And he may have tried. It may not have been the right time. He might not have had the right help. But, you know, most people can change things at least somewhat.
Yes.
So I'm sorry about that. But I have to hand it to him for decency.
Mm-hmm.
And she has acted like a grown-up all the way along.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she sensed that things weren't right. She sensed it was moving too fast. But I'm so sorry she's so disappointed and devastated.
Yeah, because everything
So
that
sorry.
it's felt like
Yeah.
a dream. It was so
Right.
exciting, and
Yeah.
you know, who wouldn't
Yeah.
be excited?
Yeah.
Thinking after, oh my gosh, after 20 years, this person that I was so
Sure.
attracted to has
Yeah.
come back again.
What a dream, yeah.
Yeah, and you know that you had strong connection with before, but you know, I agree with your decision to say I don't want to do it like that, because he was trying to change the terms and
I agree,
conditions
too. Yeah.
that he had told you he wanted up front. Now everything is different. He doesn't want to give you any kind of promise of a future or anything continuing.
Right.
You're just going to drag this out, I think, and keep getting hurt.
Yeah.
Right? Because he doesn't want you to move there now. He wants
No.
to stay long distance.
Yeah.
And it's just going to continue to
And
be.
he's kind of let you know that there are good reasons for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there are.
Other than just not loving you, which is probably where you got left. Feeling like all of a sudden he stopped loving you, and what did you do wrong?
That's right.
Or what's wrong with you? Or how could somebody stop loving you that quickly? He must never have cared about me. I think he cared profoundly about you, enough to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think had this continued, it would have wound up being a situation that was
Right.
unhealthy or destructive or
Yes.
toxic.
Yeah.
Right? It hurts and it sucks when something like this happens and you feel like this bubble bursts.
That's right. And we all want the happy ending. And even though we may have, you know, prevented a tragic ending here, you know, it's hard to feel happy about any part of this. But you're a grown-up, you act like a grown-up, and I'm sure you'll do okay.
But the key to understanding situations like this is sometimes people are trying to warn you.
Yes, they are.
And they are trying to say, I can't do this. I'm not built for this. I'm not stable enough for this. I'm not ready for this. And it doesn't have anything to do with who you are as a person.
But it's very hard when you're an anxious attacher to believe that, because remember, by definition, the anxious person always thinks the other person is better and right, and that they're not so good and wrong. I'm also a little bit concerned he didn't let us know what happened to him when he was a kid, because it may have been dreadful, and it may have been something that almost no one could have gotten over by now. So I'm sorry he wasn't able to share that.
Sure.
And I hope he will seek help, because changing is always a possibility.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see this lady seek therapy for blaming herself and maybe for improving her self-esteem a bit here.
If he was in a better position, I think he would sit down and be honest with her
Right.
about, this is what happened. This is what happened with my wife. This is why she left me. This is why in my childhood, this is what happened. I didn't want to talk about it. And if he was able to do those things and act like an adult and be transparent and say, but I don't want to live like that. I just want to be upfront with you because I want you to make a decision knowing who I am and what I'm capable of or what I've done.
Right.
Then you can do it.
But he isn't quite that healthy yet, but I hope he'll give it a shot.
Yeah, he
really
needs to
hope
get
he will.
there before
Yeah.
you can do anything else.
Yeah, and it may be very, very painful stuff.
Okay. So hopefully you guys found this one helpful. Put a like on there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And of course, when you want to get our help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. Sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. Email coaching or Skype coaching is available. Margaret is also available for Skype coaching.
I am available for Skype coaching, and if anyone involved in this case would like to let us know how they're doing in the future, that would be great. Okay.
Just click on Margaret on the top of the website to schedule with her. That's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And we will talk with you soon. I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different, and every breakup is different. Work with me, and you'll get professional help on your situation. Just click on the link in the description below, or go to my website, askcraig.net.